repeat what the issue is? We can't hear back here.
He was saying that he had a 10-year-old house, and there was a builder lawsuit, defect lawsuit, and instead of rectifying the situation, they applied outside storm windows over the openings and left the original windows in place. I've seen this happen before, and that's like putting a turbocharger on a Yugo. It doesn't make sense. The problem is this, and are we got any engineers? I know we got a couple engineers I was sitting with back there. People do tests in labs when they put shuttering system or storm windows up, but they do not test the storm windows over a fenestration product. So that window acts a certain way in its own natural state, but when it's put in front of something, it's going to react differently because you've got eddy currents, you've got all kinds of things that change the dynamic tremendously. Well, if you have seal failure or you've got problems with the existing windows, putting a storm window is going to stop you from getting damage from impact. It's not going to do much for a lot of pressure inversion because you're still going to have that type of opening. Pressure's going to come in. I've walked into buildings where you had the storm shutters still intact and interior walls are collapsed with the shutters still intact. It's just pressure is pressure, impact is impact, and when they say this is an impact rated window, I sometimes shake my head like, well, maybe they should think of changing the name from an impact rated window because this isn't just protecting you from impact. And the insurance company would like everyone to believe that, hey, there's no impact on this window, the glass is still intact and everything looks good. Impact is one part of it, pressure is another part of it, there's all kinds of different things that work together to show you what kind of condition that window's in. Yes, sir? Yes, sir. It'll happen very quickly depending on the temperature. Yeah, it'll happen very quickly depending on the temperature and inversion. See, interesting, you have what's called a insulated window, which is 2 pieces of glass, and inside those pieces of glass you've got an aluminum spacer that has Sikaflex or some type of adherence, and they seal them together. They put them under intense heat. It becomes one insulated glass unit. They put that into a frame. They charge interior glass with argon or some type of heat, mitigating gas. So if it's hot outside, it stays cool inside. What happens is whenever you have stress on that and you've got the dislodging of one pane from that aluminum seal, it discharges. And you have that fogging that happens, and you got the poor lady of the house scrubbing the windows saying, I can't get this thing clean. Well, there's nothing you can do to keep it clean. You have the elements now infiltrating that insulated glass unit. Happens real quickly. Wind event would be a very, very large factor to fail, because you need some type of pressure that's going to dislodge one of those lights of glass from that spacer. And leaning on it isn't going to do it because the window is designed to take load on different parts. You need that type of negative and positive, and remember this, cyclical pressure. It's not just a wind that comes from one direction. Hurricanes are insidious. Windstorm events are insidious. You can have this high velocity wind and then it can die down to almost 0. And then it can go to half of that very quickly, and then it can go, you've got this crazy, you can't duplicate this in a lab. And it's this type of stress that I want you to kind of look at that video on YouTube, the cyclical pressure test, because once you see that and then you think about Ike and then you go back and you start reviewing what happened, you'd be like, there's no way that you can definitely find some type of damage if we look properly.
I want to get this down. So we've got a strong wind event that occurs. My adjusters are going out there and they're taking a look and they're seeing some of these situations. They're seeing, water that got through windows, which is one clue that you've got enough. So water through the window we're looking for, and maybe some of these things just aren't quite right. Okay. The protocol then is to have a closer inspection, and then if need be, if it looks like this is, it's worthwhile, because everybody can say if it's worthwhile or not, to get a meteorologist, because you're going to need that to take a look and conform to what your opinions are And then are you going to need an engineer to back you up on this?
You know what, a lot of times it depends on the situation. We've had great success in single-family homes without bringing in an outside PE in, because it's just the damage is there, and the insurance company says, okay, well, it's going to cost $45,000 to replace these windows. I think we can do it. And you go in there and you take care of it. But when we talk about large losses, it definitely makes it worthwhile to bring a PE in there. Someone who can substantiate the science with a state license, you know, and can sit on a, you know, when it goes to jury and you're sitting in the trial, someone that can actually bring that to light. It's very important. Those three factors are very important. The fact of using your experts is super important. You know, you guys have so much on your plate when you're looking at a loss, and I've learned tremendous things just sitting here listening to everybody today. It makes me do my job differently as well. Take advantage of the people that you have. They're going to close the job down for you. They're going to make this thing happen. Another thing is trust the advice you get from the people you choose. If I go to a loss and I look around and I don't see anything, and I'll say, I don't see anything, there's nothing there. You know what I mean? Shoot your cannon into another direction. But if there is something there, it's got to be looked at in the right way. It's got to be preserved. It's got to be put into a way that you can present it. You could bring it into a court. You can bring it into, you know, arbitration, however direction it's supposed to go. But the most important thing is try to get it right early. You know, get the information early. Put it together early. Because going back again and trying to do it, you've got people that do meatball surgery on buildings. You've got paint contractors out there that call themselves water mitigation specialists. And then, you know, it happens. You know, they take all kinds of silicone and all kinds of stuff and they smear it everywhere, and they're not even hitting the right part of the window system that's letting the water in, you know. Javier.
We've had a chance to work together in the past.
Yes, we have.
Larger condos and things. Can you explain, the wind-driven rain is something that the adjusters, the insurance company adjusters say it's not covered, it's got to be an opening. Can you explain how the wind-driven rain event occurs with the opening on the window?
Again, I want to talk about my point of view on that, and don't take it as gospel because there's so many different ways to analyze this. But wind-driven rain, you know, it's either first one or the other. You know, first you need some type of event that has created a breach in the envelope of protection. That had to have been strong enough for that wind field to sustain, to allow water to be driven into that opening based on the wind and the rain event, the wind-driven rain event. That is is an important thing because something had to have put the water there. You have these hurricanes where water is going to be moving laterally to a structure, and you've got that negative and positive pressure just like pushing on the envelope of protection. And once it creates a breach, that water is going to rest, it's going to hit the jam side, it's going to run down, it's going to find whatever opening has been breached based on that wind pressure inversion, and it's going to seep into the building. It's a very peculiar thing to prove. It's like which came first, the chicken or the egg. You know what I mean? You're trying to pin it down, but there are telltale signs of a breach in an envelope of protection in a windstorm event. And then if you see corroborating evidence of moisture that got in and it's leaking in, first of all, you want to rule out other elements like the roof and everything else like that. There's other things where once water gets in, you guys know it's going to run wherever it's going to run. It could find an opening interior into a window system and may not have breached that system, but may have come in from somewhere else. That's why that right eyes on the job is very important. Yeah, definitely.